You are now listening to the Football Incorporated podcast, a scintillating production produced by two of the world's greatest football minds. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Football Incorporated podcast. I'm your host, Cody Kirsten, once again joined by Patrick Arthurs. Patrick, how are you doing today?
I'm well, man. Today's a great day, man.
Today's a great day. We put out 3 episodes today. This will be our 3rd, and this is what we do. We put out a lot of content, stuff that you guys like. Today we're going to talk about some recent news in the release of Danny Amendola, the signing of Michael Bennett to the Patriots, and will Danny Amendola go back to the Patriots? Today is going to be a very Patriots, I think, oriented kind of day. Now that I'm thinking about it. And then we're also going to talk about the Chicago kicker, Chris freaking Blewit. And I must say, that is an awful name for a kicker because when he blows a kick, it'll be Blewit.
Yeah, man, I see the pun lines coming already, so hopefully his career goes better than expected.
Hopefully it's not like Cody Parkey's abysmal trash heap of a career. That was so stupid by the Bears franchise to ever sign him to anything ever. That was so dumb. They should have kept Robbie Gold. Please come back.
Let's hope, man. Well, I guess that thrown out the window. Ryan Pace didn't really like him in the first place, so.
Yeah. Oh, a kicker missed a couple kicks. Let's sign one that misses all of them. Yeah, that makes sense. Great compensation there, Ryan.
He's made a lot of good moves, but I can't say that's his best move.
Definitely not. Oh, we're also going to talk about something new, the substance abuse policy of the NFL. This is something that, in regards to the way the NFL treats marijuana use versus the way it treats domestic violence abuse, seem kind of the opposite to me.
It is quite the opposite. I mean, I can pull it up right now. So, according to the NFLPA, and this is from the NFLPA and the NFL, it says, in quote, discipline for first offenses will be a suspension without pay for up to 4 regular season games. If the commissioner finds that there were aggravating circumstances, including not limited to felonious conduct or serious injury or death, third parties includes the player has had prior drug or alcohol-related offenses included may be imposed. Discipline for a second or subsequent offense will be 6 games without pay, up to 10 regular season or postseason games, a player's treatment minimum of 6, or up to 10 regular season and postseason games.
Yeah, and it doesn't make sense that, as we've seen throughout history already, that, the Ray Rices, that kicker who beat the heck Josh Brown, yeah, they more got slaps on the back, right? And if you think about the recent news of, in the substance abuse policy, people are getting suspended for multiple games, for smoking a little weed, which is a lot of times legal in states, especially, I'm from Michigan. It's legal here now. So I don't understand why in states where it's legal, because marijuana isn't a steroid. It's not going to help you lift weights, a bench, any of that stuff. I can see if a player's using steroids and PEDs like Alshon Jeffrey did, the PEDs that he used, I can understand why that would be a big deal because then you're giving an unfair advantage to others. But listen, if NFL players want to smoke a little tree after they just get their crap knocked out of them for a really long time in a state that it's legal, honestly, I don't really care at all, and I don't see why other people should care.
It's just a hypocritical policy because, again, like as you stressed before, Ray Rice on camera struck his wife in the elevator on camera. They saw direct evidence, and he got a 2-game suspension, but then Roger Goodell knew his job was on the line. Then he gave an indefinite suspension. So there's definitely hypocrisy on that suspension.
Yeah, they treat marijuana like some type. Well, technically, it is a Class A drug in the United States federal government, which doesn't make any sense to me because it's legal in a lot of states. Cocaine, all that stuff isn't legal. Listen, if a player was showing up to practice, snorting coke, meth, I understand that, but these players get hit a lot. They're in a lot of pain, and marijuana has shown evidence of easing pain, and, that's why a lot of times it's subscribed to people.
Yeah, that's true. I think as seeing NFL players, I'd rather have them use marijuana than these addictive painkillers or opioids, as shown in the opioid crisis going on right now. So I don't see why the NFL is punishing that for people smoking marijuana in their free time.
Yeah. To me, that makes no sense. And I think to a lot of fans out there, I think the NFL really needs to relook and restructure its substance abuse policy. Because is it really substance abuse if you have a little bit of marijuana? Listen, I understand if you're a hardcore stoner, maybe you shouldn't play in the NFL.
Oh, of course.
But, you know, a couple times a week, if you want to smoke some weed, like, go for it.
It's all in the free will. The players have the free will to make choices. So obviously, like there's a lot of different cases. So for Josh Gordon, he has a history of drug addiction and alcohol addiction. So that's much different than a casual smoker.
And for sure, because he has gotten several chances. I mean, he absolutely blew his chance with the Patriots last year, and now he's never going to come back. No team's ever going to want to sign him. He's never coming back to the NFL because that is an addiction, and at that point you need help. But if you want to smoke some marijuana, like in your free time to ease some pain, even with your buddies, but there's a fine line between addiction and not addiction anymore.
Absolutely, and I think in this case of marijuana, David Irving, and this comes from David Irving. He plays for the Dallas Cowboys. He was just hit with an indefinite suspension because he got caught smoking marijuana. And now, obviously, there's probably more details behind this. I don't know what other drugs he was involved with, he tested positive for, but if it was strictly just marijuana all the time, then he has a case. So it's something the league has to take a look at.
Yeah, and I also think Roger Goodell is trying to lay down the law a little bit more than he has been. I think Roger Goodell is just trying to be the big man here. But like not Adrian Peterson. That was a different thing. But if you want to include Adrian Peterson in this conversation, when he hit his kid with the stick and was suspended a year, he was able to come back. So domestic violence and technically in that case child abuse is a way different line than smoking a little bit of tree, but they're treated way differently. And marijuana is treated as, a higher thing than domestic violence, beating your wife up, beating people up, or smoking some tree. Like, I don't understand where Roger Goodell is coming from for this, and to me makes absolutely no sense, and they need to restructure their policy, I think, for the benefit of college players wanting to come into the NFL, and especially for NFL players themselves.
Yeah, and I agree with you. If you want, again, it's like Goodell's leadership has been lackluster.
It's been awful.
I can't sit back here and say Goodell's been the best commissioner in the league. He's been an absolute failure.
No, I've been watching like old draft picks recently, and Roger Goodell's the only one I see get booed consistently. Like the old
was it the old commissioner?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was going to say general manager. Yeah, the old commissioners, when they went up to do draft picks, they would just go up to do draft picks because, it was the commissioner of the NFL, not one that suspends Tom Brady for something that doesn't matter, that, all these other things like that. And I think it was great the Patriots, after his 4-game suspension, won the Super Bowl because that was a big middle finger to Roger Goodell. Oh, and I think he hates the Patriots and hates Tom Brady.
There's definitely rivalry there, man. Like, Robert Kraft didn't even like him. He filed a lawsuit against the league.
Yeah, and speaking of Robert Kraft, I know that the things in his prostitution thing have come up, so I think before that happened, I honestly think Roger Goodell may have been afraid of Roger for taking his place.
That's true. Robert Kraft is a prominent owner, and again, if it's true he's convicted, obviously the due process, he is innocent until proven guilty, but if he did this, I think there's a standard that Mr. Goodell has to set with Robert Kraft, because Jim Irsay, he had drug offenses in his car while driving. He got a 6-game suspension, and he had a significant fine. So anything less than that is just simply lackluster on behalf of Roger Goodell.
Yeah, exactly. And it's been proven again with the Colin Kaepernick thing that he has not been a good leader for the NFL. And I think the NFL, whoever picks the commissioner, needs to look at what the commissioner has done and realize that maybe they need to start looking at their options a little bit.
I would say my number one pick would be Adam Silver, the current the current commissioner of the NBA. He has handled he's handled the NBA quite well. Revenue is at an all-time high, and he knows how to negotiate with the unions. And I think time and time again in the NFL we have these strikes that go on because obviously the owners always win, but I think it's one thing that Roger Goodell needs to improve upon if he's ever gonna even if his contract is renewed after 2022.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they need to find a better option for the NFL. And there could be a lot of candidates. Who knows? Maybe John Gruden will run.
Hey, never know.
You never know. Okay. So off that bleak topic, we're going to talk about the new Chicago Bears kicker, Chris freaking Blewit. And that's what I'm going to call him for right now because I bet he's going to blow a lot of kicks for Chicago. Again, I don't know why they... Sure, he had like a good training camp or whatever, but he kicked field goals. His field goal percentage was below 70% in college. Yeah, he had a couple good kicks against Clemson in that game that they won.
Of course.
But, I mean, honestly, if you're kicking below 70% coming out of college, that makes no sense to me why the Chicago Bears would sign him at all.
And that argument, and I agree with that argument because if you look at some of the most accurate kickers in college, Roberto Aguayo was the most accurate kicker coming out of college, and yet he was awful. So again, we'll see. I'd like to see how it plays out. Maybe he surprises everyone, but we'll see.
Look at this. He's been getting progressively worse as in 2013. 14 for 18, 2014, 16 for 21, 2015, 15 for 23, and 2016, 10 of 17. So that's 77.8%, 76.2, 65, 58.8% his 2016 year at Pitt. And Chicago wants to sign this guy as their new kicker for... I honestly have no idea the reason why, and they're going to blow all these kicks next year, and then they're going to sign someone else when they should have just kept Robbie Gould, when they should have tried to get him or traded something for him to get him this year. I mean, it makes no sense. And I mean, Pace, the GM, Robbie Gould doesn't even want to come back to Chicago because of the way he treated him.
That's exactly, man. Ryan Pace, look, I like a lot of the moves he has made. Again, I'm not a Bears fan by any means, but... From the outside, he has made a lot of really good moves. But
he has. Nagy has been his definite success, but I mean, I don't know about this one, Patrick.
I'm a little concerned. If I'm a Bears fan, I'm concerned because, again, your biggest weakness going into the playoffs was your special teams, your kicking, and it has not been addressed.
Yeah, I think Chicago could have been Super Bowl contenders. Listen, Chicago gets a first-round bye if Cody Parkey makes that field goal against the Dolphins that they should have won.
Crazy how things play out.
Yeah, and then they lose to Nick Foles because he blew another kick. Yeah, it got tipped. But, you know, I don't care. Nothing like ending a Chicago Bears season off a double doink off Cody Parkey. I honestly hope he never, ever gets another job, and I hope he has to work grocery, bag, Walmart jobs because honestly, that's what he deserves. And if you're going to be an NFL kicker, you better do what you're good at, and you better be a better than a under 70% kicker in college. I cannot stress this enough that this makes no sense, and Chicago has their head way up Neverland about this. And as a Bears fan, this is kind of tragic because it's going to be another year of bad kicking.
And I feel for Bears fans. Again, I was stressed again. Like, I've been a Lions fan my whole life, so I've had the luxury of having great kickers. Jason Hanson, now Matt Prater.
He's very good.
Look, if the Bears have a kicker like Matt Prater, again, he's not a flashy kicker, but he gets the job done.
Yeah, and I believe Gostkowski was even a free agent, and the Patriots aren't going to franchise tag him. You know what I'm saying? So Chicago could have signed a great kicker in Gostkowski, but no. They picked Chris freaking Blewit out of Pitt for who knows what reasons.
Again, I'm not sure the degree of contract, but I know it can't get worse than the Cody Parkey contract. You give a kicker, was it $9 million guarantees?
Yeah, that was for Cody Parkey.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I honestly think Chicago should have just grabbed Robbie Gould right up as soon as they can or try to trade something for him because he's a great kicker. Yeah, honestly, makes no sense. And Stefan Gostkowski, can go anywhere, and Chicago is. Oh my gosh, Chicago should have just signed him. Chicago should have signed Gostkowski for. Listen, because last year, 2018, he missed 5 kicks with an 84%. And then in 2017, he missed 3 kicks out of 40, 37 out of 40 for 92.5%. His career, 87.4%. That is so good, and that is what Chicago needs right now is a bingo kicker that makes 80 to 90% of his kicks all the time. 84.5, so close to 85 to 92% of his kicks. That and Cody Parkey was awful. So to me, this makes no sense. Why they signed Chris Blewit? Why they didn't sign Stefan Gostkowski? And Kyle Brandt said Stefan Gostkowski is the generational kicker. And I think he is such a good kicker that Chicago, honestly, they lost a huge opportunity here to sign a golden goose to their franchise, and they blew it.
Another blunder by the Chicago front office. And again, the last front office failed miserably. Again, Ryan Pace, he's done a lot of great things. But again, if you're not fixing the main cause of why you're losing, then your team isn't gonna your team is not gonna advance the Super Bowl.
Yeah, it's not going to. Okay, we're going to move on. Danny Amendola released by the Dolphins.
Wow.
Patrick, what are your opinions on this?
That is crazy. This is what I really see happening. The classic Patriot return. This happens all the time.
I can see that. Yeah.
It happens all the time. Danny Amendola in New England, he's a very solid player. You put him in any other team, he's a below average wide receiver. So
Yeah. I mean, if you look at last year, 59 receptions, 575 yards. So to me, I get why the Miami Dolphins released him because he has a $6 million cap hit, right?
yeah, $6 million.
He has a $6 million cap hit on a production of less than 600 yards and 1 touchdown. I can see, honestly, the Patriots re-signing him and trying to take him back because, with Josh Gordon gone, they're going to try and utilize whatever they can in free agency to try and, gather players so they can help Tom Brady.
And this in mind, I think this is the perfect reason why the Patriots are winners every year. They take on players that may not seem like they have a lot of talent, but then Tom Brady makes them seem like they're very good players.
Oh, Josh Gordon, before he did that stupid thing again, he was great. I mean, I don't know. He wasn't great, sorry, but he was very good with the Patriots, and they were a better team with him. They won the Super Bowl. I don't even know how they managed to do that because Bill Belichick is so good. But, that's what's so great about the Patriots, that they take losers. They take 6th-round draft picks and they turn them into Hall of Famers, great players, all-stars in the NFL.
Exactly. The value of the dollar in free agency. That's what the Patriots max out.
Yeah. They're very good at contract negotiations. They're very good at signing players they want and getting rid of look what happened to Jamie Collins. Now he went to the Browns. Now, speaking of that, Jamie Collins, I believe, is a free agent this year.
Yes, that was confirmed by NFL Network and ESPN.
Yeah, I honestly think Danny Amendola and Jamie Collins should try and go back to New England because they can get more rings. At this point in their career, it's not about the money, okay? It's about trying to get a Super Bowl ring with Tom Brady. And, they didn't blow their chances, and maybe if they add a little more production. Jamie Collins, that's a different story. Yeah. But, I think that he and Amendola should try to go back to the Patriots and reunite the old Patriots back a few years ago when they were super, super good. I mean, they're still good, but I think now they can have a really, really good shot of kind of solidifying themselves as the number 1 team to try and make the Super Bowl again.
It seems like a natural transition for both those players because Jamie Collins was the quarterback. He's kind of like the co-quarterback of that defense when they were playing at a high level. And Danny Amendola can slide right into like a slot wide receiver position.
Yeah. Him and Julian Edelman absolutely tore up the league when they were together. And I think with them back, having both of those weapons are going to be very, very good.
And I like to stress this, the importance the Patriots retool every year. They're always moving forward. They're always thinking about how can we as a team improve.
Yeah, every single year. That's what's so good about the Patriots. I'm not a Patriots fan, but it is... it's hard to deny their success over the last 18 years. Once Tom Brady got in there, winning 5 Super Bowls, 6 now, right?
Yeah, 6.
Say,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 6 Super Bowls.
Yeah, ridiculous.
So they have 6 Super Bowls. Tom Brady can't even fit all his rings on one hand, and he's not going anywhere, I think, for 2 more years, which is why, they should try and get a quarterback to learn behind him, which is a different story. And we're actually going to talk to a Patriots Wire contributor in a couple episodes here. But what we need to do, what the Patriots need to do, get a quarterback, let him sit behind Tom. That's all I'm going to say right now. I'll let him explain more in a couple episodes on his thoughts and what he thinks. That's going to be coming up a little bit. I'll have an exact time for that later. But again, Patriots' success is determined by that front office. And bad front offices, like the Browns, they're at the bottom of the pit every single year.
Exactly. It's all about knowing who fits your system, who fits your culture. And every year, the Patriots get players that fit their culture. The Patriot way. Do your job.
Exactly. And once Josh Gordon came to New England, he did his job. He didn't want to do his job with the Browns because they're the Browns. Once you go to a championship level, team, like even Green Bay a couple years ago, like New England, now the Rams, now even Chicago, they haven't won a championship in a while, but now they're in contention every single year. Not every single year. With Mitch Trubisky and with that defense and Nagy, I think they're going to win 10 to 12 games every year for the next 8 years.
And I feel like the way the league is trending, you get a young quarterback, you build around that team, and for that short window period of time, whether it's 2 to 3 years.
That's what they're doing with Jared Goff in Los Angeles right now.
It's a very smart move. And I think the Patriots, and I think Tom Brady understands this, he's making less than his market value.
Oh, yeah. He should get paid $35 million a year. That's his market value.
And he's allowing the front office to put a very competent team. And I think the problem is, like with a lot of these teams, is they have these big lopsided contracts, and frankly, you can't build a team when you have these really bad contracts.
That's what's going on right now in Minnesota with Kirk Cousins and then Matt Stafford's contract, that huge contract in Detroit.
It's a problem. And again, I like Matt Stafford as a player, but don't get me wrong. I feel like Tom Brady should be making what Matt Stafford's making.
Oh, he should be making twice as much. But I think also the NFL needs to kind of revisit their cap their cap level policy, because players should start to be getting more guaranteed money because of what their body has to endure. And that's my opinion on it. I think they should raise the cap level, the cap ceiling, and allow teams to kind of, make their own. Obviously there should still be a cap level, but it shouldn't be at where it's not. It should be way above where it's at now.
And the thing is, I guess I pin this kind of on the agents who are negotiating these contracts. Again, it's kind of like a player signs a 7-year contract. That if the team has complete leverage over that contract, it's meaningless. You can play you can play 1 game or 1 year and you're gone.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happened to Jay Cutler when he signed that 7-year, $126 million contract with Chicago. He was released in 2016 when they didn't want him anymore. 2017 when they didn't want him anymore. And he played 1 more year with Miami, and it was like, screw it, because that's the way it works now. You sign huge contracts and you're like, crap, he's not as good as we thought he was. And, honestly, Jay Cutler, according to that contract, should be playing for 2 more seasons.
It's really ridiculous. And again, I think that contract just ruined the entire organization. And I feel like that's happening around the league. You make a mistake on one contract, you can't get out of it for a long period of time.
It wasn't. I'm sorry. I'm going to correct myself. It was in 2017.
Yeah, 2017. Yep.
Yeah, so that's crazy. I think teams need to start trying to renegotiate what contracts they have and try to trim down. And it's just really hard with the amount of cap right now in the NFL.
I think if you're a franchise, and this is my opinion, if you have a star player you know is going to be good for 2-3 seasons and you give him a 5-year deal, give the guarantees up front the first 2 to 3 years. Do not make it like lessen the cap hit over your last 2 years of that contract, because you're not getting the same player that you got the first couple seasons.
Yeah, exactly. So, according to the NFL.com, the NFL salary cap for the 2019 is projected at 187 to 191 million dollars, and for 52 players, if you sign 2-3 players at 20, 18 to 20 million dollars, boom, you're already at 60. What are you going to do with the other 49 players on your roster that you're going to pay? A lot of them in that teen range, and a lot of them, between 8 and $15 million is going to be a lot of your team. And then, of course, there's the lower, half. But all starters make $8 to $15 million. If you multiply that by 10, you're $80 to $150 million. You add the 2-star players. You know what I'm saying? You're already close to the cap. So I think it's really hard right now for teams with this cap right now to try and negotiate contracts and try and get, try and not sign a huge player with a huge cap hit, because even one $26 million a year contract can devastate a team.
Exactly, and I think this is the problem with Green Bay. Green Bay signed Aaron Rodgers to a contract annually of $33.5 million. Now, do I think he's worth that? Absolutely, but there's a case to be made. You can build a team around a young quarterback with less of a cap hit.
Yeah.
So I think more teams should be looking for that instead of paying their one franchise quarterback millions on millions of dollars.
Yeah, and I'm scared what's going to happen in Kansas City, because, Patrick Mahomes should ask for $30 million tomorrow. And he should get every single penny, because he deserves every single penny of his talent. But, with this cap ceiling right now set at between $181 and $190 million, I'm saying 187 to 191 million dollars, right? I think it's really hard for teams to try and sign that big player and get another star as well on their team. It's not like Golden State, where they have 3 all-stars on their team. NFL players teams just don't do that.
And again, I think it comes down to the NFLPA negotiating with the NFL and trying to make it change these contracts. Because if you look at how long an NFL player plays in their career,
3 years. Yeah, that's the average.
Yeah,
3 years.
Average length is 3 years. And again, if you're an agent, you have to maximize those prime years of your client to get the most money possible.
Yeah. So that's all we have on that topic. So we're gonna move on to overtime rules. Especially now after, I know this is a little bit late, but we just started our podcast. With Patrick Mahomes not being able to get that ball in overtime, what are your opinions on that?
I think the NFL really needs to rethink about this rule. Because frankly, as fans, for example, if it's the AFC Championship game, it's a Tom Brady Patrick Mahomes duel. Both teams, and again, this applies to every team, they should have a chance to have the ball.
Yeah, exactly. And there should never ever be a tie in the NFL. What are we living in? Europe? Soccer? No. There shouldn't be no ties ever in football. I don't care if you got to play for 15 hours. You're getting paid millions of dollars every single game. Some people, especially ones that make over $16 million a year, that don't make the playoffs. So no ties, and I think overtime rules need to be both teams able to get the ball until an extended period of clock runs out, and if it's still a tie, you keep freaking playing, because that's what I'm paying to see. I'm paying to see a winner and a loser in the NFL, not a tie.
Exactly. That's what the fans want. The fans do not want a game in which, let's say it's a really good game, and let's say it's 35-35. Nobody scores. The game ends in a tie. The fan leaves the stadium on a sour note, or they're watching their game on their TV or any device. They think, what's up with that?
Yeah, that makes no sense. So, as we wrap up this podcast, again, I think a lot of you have already been thinking about that. It just kind of doesn't make sense to me. And I think the NFL, again, with Roger Goodell making these rule changes, it doesn't make sense to me. And with that, I am Cody Kirsten. I am signing off today. And with my co-host, Patrick Arthurs.
Hey.
And we are going to be out of here, and we'll see you next episode. Thank you.